Greetings. I am James Norman Tolley, and I am a historian of worlds that never were. Today, I will take you on a journey into one of those worlds. Welcome to the world of alternate history. Now, Alex, here's the scenario. Enola Gay, the bomber, the B-29 bomber that was carrying one of the first atomic bombs, is discovered by Japanese spies, and the Empire is informed. A squadron of planes from Japan are sent to deal with the threat. They're able to take down the 3 B-29 bombers. In the crash site, they're able to recover one of the nuclear weapons. 2 days later, Nagasaki is hit by the nuclear weapon. Japan, seeing the destructive potential of this weapon, decides to try and replicate it. Now it is your turn to try and come up with a series of events that would happen after what I just said.
Ooh, that is very interesting, but to be honest, when the first nuclear bomb was shot down, they would probably notify America about it, or they would realize that it was shot down and it didn't actually happen. Japan did somehow get a hold of a nuclear bomb. I'm not entirely sure if they would have used it on America, since they really only cared about expanding outwards, and the only reason they attacked America was to try to get rid of their sea and air potential. But I don't think they would have the capabilities of actually even transporting the bomb far enough to even use it.
I'm not talking about them bombing America, because that's really out of the question. What I think would have happened is, after seeing Nagasaki get blown into a crater, they would attempt to replicate the technology. Now, in 1945, there was a project by the Nazis to send over 2 U-boats to deliver the schematics for the Messerschmitt jet plane. One of the U-boats was sunk, and the other one got away. It was considered one of the worst sabotage, or whatever it's called, scandals in history. The U-boat was able to arrive in Japan, and they were able to give off sketches of the Messerschmitt to Japan. From those sketches, they were able to come up with schematics for their own version of it, with foldable wings. So if they had an intact nuclear weapon, they could be able to replicate it. And I'm not talking about them bombing America. They would try to keep America at bay while they tried to re-extend their empire in Asia.
Well, another thing is, America would probably just make more bombs. They had the technology and the capability of building more, so after seeing that Japan, wouldn't surrender after Nagasaki, they either would have continued bombing them or going for a ground invasion.
That was actually in the cards. If Japan wouldn't have surrendered due to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, America planned a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland, which would have seen the likes of suicide divers, which are people in dive suits with TNT strapped to them, child soldiers, and a defense unlike any seen before.
Yeah, and fun fact, almost all Purple Hearts were made back then for that what they thought inevitable invasion of Japan.
I believe Japan would have been able to replicate at least, they would have been able to make one bomb, maybe not as powerful as the one that was dropped on Nagasaki, or the one that was going to be dropped on Hiroshima. I believe they would have used those bombs to beat back the Soviets, because due to new files declassified today, it turns out that the Soviets were the reason that Japan surrendered in World War II. So they would use the atomic weapons on the Soviets in Manchuria to drive them back a little, creating like a border of nuclear wasteland. From there, they would re-invade Korea and put more development into land-based weaponry. I believe that eventually the Allies would be able to defeat Japan, but it would take a lot longer, like extending the war for another 5 years.
Yeah, like I was saying, during this entire brutal island hopping campaign, they pretty much got like all the islands except for Japan. So they probably wouldn't be able to do as much as you think because they still had America on their butt. But in the end, it is kind of
An open question.
yeah, and sometimes it's not as good to dwell on the past and what if. So I think that's all I got to say on it.
Well, thank you, Alex, for joining me on this journey into another world. We'll return next week with another alternate history. That one being, what if the Secession Act was edited over 100 years earlier? Thank you, Alex, for joining me today.
See ya.
I'll see you next week. Good night.